Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, March 30th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick announcement as to what's been going on with the channel. So some of you might have noticed I haven't really made a video in a while. I know I made one video on a draft prop, I believe it was a week and a half ago. Mostly just no sports talk about. I told you previously I'm not going to be making random videos about table tennis and esports and volleyball and all this other stuff that people are betting on, just because I'm not going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about with any of those topics, and I figured it wouldn't be fair if I just came across as somebody who did. If you want all those picks, you can find them on Twitter all over the place. People are selling picks on badminton and cricket and all these other random sports, but I don't know. I don't really roll that way, so I kind of just took the time off. I've been busy playing a lot of online poker, just how I've been passing the time. Hopefully all of your respective quarantines haven't been the most boring experience of your lives. It's definitely up there for me. But the reason why I'm making a video on Monday is because of the fact that I actually found a prop that I do think possesses a lot of value offshore. I mentioned how I would be coming back occasionally to give out some props or some bets if I saw something with a ton of value on it, and I believe I finally found that. I'm going to try to make a video every single day this week just to give some people some content. Warning though, will most likely be all on the NFL draft because of the fact that there really isn't anything to talk about, especially with the Khabib fight coming up that got canceled. But it's actually going to transition into the MMA, and that's going to be on a prop that's available on Bovada offshore. I haven't seen this available anywhere else, so apologies if you don't have Bovada. But at the same point, I just think that this deal is too good to pass up. So for that reason, I will be giving it out as play of the day. They have a prop available on who Tony Ferguson will fight at UFC 249. And it lists 7 names, and the favorite in that one is Justin Gaethje at -110, and we're going to be taking that as the play that is going to be on Justin Gaethje to fight against Tony Ferguson at UFC 249, which is available at -110 on Bovada. Now, a couple reasons why I like this prop, but first of all, I'm going to give a brief background to what happened. For those of you who don't know, one of the most anticipated fights in the UFC for the last couple of years was going to be between Khabib and Tony Ferguson. However, the fight had been canceled 4 times previously due to random injuries that have occurred between each of the two fighters. It was supposed to happen on April 18th, and then the fight just got canceled today because of the fact that Khabib can no longer travel because of Russia's recent travel bans. So for that reason, Tony Ferguson is still on the card, but now he has no opponent as Khabib has been thrown out of the fight because of his inability to actually travel to the venue in question. Now, the reason why that is important is because of the fact that Dana White has stated previously that he wants this fight to go on, and I think he recognizes the business aspect that with no competition, if he's able to get one fight with Ferguson on the table, then you will get a ton of pay-per-view ratings. That's really all the UFC can ask for. Do I think it's right morally based on the health of the fighters? That's a separate story, but either or, Dana White's trying to be an entrepreneur, and I'm not really going to criticize him for creating a multi-billion-dollar industry. Either or, based on the prop, they have some specific contingencies regarding the prop, which makes this very valuable. There's 2 things that need to occur in order for you to actually lose this fight, this prop. First of all, the fight actually has to take place. If it doesn't take place and the whole thing gets canceled, you simply get your money back. Plus, if Ferguson ends up fighting anybody who's not one of these 7 names, then it's also voided. So in order to actually lose this bet, you need him to not only avoid fighting Gaethje, but you need him to fight one of the other 6 people that are listed, and I don't think that's really possible. I'm going to list the 6 names right now, and I'll tell you why this isn't a realistic outcome. The 6 other choices, so Gaethje's -110, everyone else is a huge underdog, but I'm going to list them in order. You have Alexander Hernandez at +550, you have Kamo Worthy at +550, you have Islam Makhachev at +550, you have Atman Azaitar at +550, you have Donald Cerrone at +600, and Conor McGregor at +700. So I'm going to toss one right in the garbage. Conor McGregor, not even close. There's no way he's going to come back and fight for a non-title fight. That's not going to happen. He wants all the money, and there's no way he's going to take a fight on short notice against Ferguson when a belt's not at stake. That's definitely not realistic. I don't see that happening. So toss Conor in the garbage. Other than that, you have Alex. The issue that I have with this fight is that you can't. The way that I would phrase it is that Khabib and Ferguson are clearly the best 2 fighters in the entire weight class. And since Khabib is out and now it's no longer a title fight, you can't afford to have Ferguson fight against somebody who's significantly lower than him in the rankings, because if Ferguson hypothetically loses, then you have nobody to fight for the title, and that's a huge Pandora's box that Dana White's definitely going to try to avoid. I expect if White's going to save this card, he's going to need to make it an eliminator fight where he will need Ferguson versus another high-level competitor, and the winner of that fight would end up having to fight Khabib. That's the only way I can see that this actually works out. You can't have Ferguson fighting somebody like Alexander Hernandez or Kama Worthy, and then if one of them hypothetically beats Ferguson, then you have nobody to fight Khabib next, and you pretty much screwed yourself. So I don't see that happening. For that reason, I would toss the first four in the garbage with Hernandez, Worthy, Makhachev, and Azaitar. I don't see any of those happening. I just think that Ferguson's significantly better than all of them combined, and it just seems like a waste of resources, especially if Ferguson ends up losing, which would pretty much throw the entire weight class into shambles. Other than that, Cerrone, there's no way he's going to fight. He was going to take some time off, and he also just got embarrassed in the first round by McGregor in his last fight. I don't think there's any way that he would just sub in and take this fight. I don't think he earned it, frankly. So that's kind of my thought. Other than that, McGregor, I told you I would toss that in the garbage because he's only going to come back for a title fight. He's already discussed wanting to fight Khabib. Potentially Gaethje, I don't see him taking Ferguson on short notice. It's just a really stupid move. And if you know one thing about McGregor, he is a very smart business person, despite the way he interacts in bars against old people. But either or, for that reason, I have to take Gaethje minus 110 here on this prop. First of all, Gaethje was the first one offered the fight after Khabib dropped, according to Ariel Helwani, who, if some of you know who that is, he's pretty much the most prominent MMA reporter on the planet. He said that the UFC and Dana White offered Gaethje the first opportunity to take the fight. So if he accepts it, then you pretty much are a lock to win it. And other than that, though, if he ends up fighting Poirier or if he ends up fighting Masvidal, both those have been rumored. I personally would love to see Masvidal fight Ferguson. I think that would be a great fight. But since both of those fighters are not actually listed among the 7 here, then you would simply get your money back anyway. So it looks like you're basically free-rolling a minus 110 because it seems like the top 3 options are Gaethje, Poirier, and Masvidal, and Gaethje is currently the favorite, and the other 2 aren't on the list. So for that reason, a minus 110, I think that line's an absolute joke. Based on who else is listed, if you had Masvidal and or Poirier listed, then I think that would be a complete game changer for this prop. But since neither of them are listed here, I think Gaethje should be somewhere around minus 200, minus 300, because I don't think any of the other 6 have a serious shot. So for that reason, the play of the day is going to be on Justin Gaethje to fight against Tony Ferguson at UFC 249, which is available at minus 110 on Bovada. Once again, though, only take the prop if you have these names listed. I already posted about this on my Twitter, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But based on that, once again, play of the day, it's going to be on Justin Gaethje to fight against Tony Ferguson at UFC 249, which is available at minus 110 on Bovada. Other than that, though, that's good for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, March 30th. I should be back tomorrow with an NFL draft prop play. I've been looking through some of the mock drafts lately, just because of the fact I have nothing else to do. But other than that, though, good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.